let's do a little work with Mama, who's actually probably Uncle Blue. Hey. Don't open that.
Can we watch Hocus Pocus?
In a little while, sure. Yeah, so definitely is a male. We bought her as a female, but you know, it was a baby and the breeder was just wrong. There you go. Just sweet. It's okay. So guys, I am not a monitor tamer by any means, but there are some absolutely spectacular videos on methods for training and working with the socialization of monitors. I would strongly recommend anything from Kevin McCurley, the owner of Nerd. He talks about creating threads of trust, and there's also some really spectacular videos, a series of videos from a guy whose YouTube is called CrocDoc. He has Lacey monitors, and his work with them is just absolutely incredible. So, you know, tree monitors are actually among the more difficult to gain their trust. But once you do, it's pretty incredible. Again, I wish that I had time to just pull this guy out every single day for an hour, but I don't. Little interactions like that are just perfect. He came to me completely of his own accord. I coaxed him, certainly. I tickled his chin. I put my hand where he was walking. Obviously, I'm encouraging him to explore on me, but no grabbing whatsoever at any point. When he goes up my arm, I don't care because I'm in a secure room. So if he gets on the floor, there's literally nowhere he can get to where I can't get to him, and there's nothing in here that he can hurt himself on as long as I'm watching. You know, if he were to sit and like chew on a cord or something, that's not really a monitor-like behavior, but he could do it. So I'm gonna be watching. But there's nothing in here. All of our heat lamps have hoods. They get really hot to the touch, but it's not, you know, the instant scorching as if he were to touch the actual bulb, which he can't do because they're all covered. So this was just awesome. And the reason I came in to do this, I saw him exploring. He is now maybe 6 months from being fully grown. So it is time to upgrade from what I call the bachelor pads. These are 2x2 by 4 foot, which is just not adequate for a full-time enclosure for an adult tree monitor. To me, the minimum is more like, I don't think that the camera is really picking up much. You can kind of see in the corner there. So that cage is 6 feet long by 4 feet tall by, I believe, 3 feet deep. A lot more space, horizontally and vertically. And that's more what you want for 1 or 2 tree monitors. If you want to keep a larger group together, you're going to have to go even larger than that. We have 2 full basking spots in that enclosure with UV and heat, multiple hides, and plenty of branches and stuff. We don't keep our tree monitor enclosures as filled out with stuff, with visual barriers, as a lot of people do. And boy, oh boy, have I taken crap for it over the years. But I don't care. I think this is better for socializing your animals. If they can just easily never ever be seen, then that's what they're going to do. If you can spend time in your reptile room and they're in order for them to, move around, they have to kind of come out and be seen, then you're going to win their trust. Again, a little bit of stress is okay. I think some of the absolute just hatred I've gotten from people over the years is because a tree monitor that can be seen is going to stress. It is. I fully admit that. At first. Once it's like these guys, and now this individual over here that you're seeing just happily basking, watching me, listening to me, that is a wild caught animal, okay? He is not running off. He's not panicking. He's just sitting there watching me. He never runs off. None of them do. We have 8 tree monitors, and 6 of them are wild caught. All 8 of them, we can work in their enclosure. We can tongue feed them. We can go in and out, we can talk, we can vocalize, and as long as we're not doing real fast herky-jerky motions or grabbing them to constrict them, not a single one of them runs off or shows any signs of fear. At the beginning, they definitely did. If we had caved and filled their enclosure with millions of plants and tubes where they literally could spend their whole life and never be seen by us, they would not have acclimated. They never would have. So to me, I hate showing my enclosures, and I love showing my enclosures because I don't like when people tell me I'm a monster that's abusing my animals. That makes me feel bad. But I also want to encourage people to think outside the box. If stress were bad, if any stress were bad, nobody should ever take up a new sport, ever. Because at first you suck at it. And it hurts your muscles, right? It stresses you mentally, emotionally, and physically. Sometimes very badly. But if you enjoy it, or if you have friends doing it, or if you're trying to impress a girl or something, just there's all these reasons why we decide that, okay, well, it's worth the stress. And we do it anyways. And with animals, it really is no different. The only thing that's different is we're in charge of them. They exist because we brought them into the world, so we have a responsibility to never introduce stress to them without a purpose, and to always have a cap, a limit on that stress. If they are in a panic mode, we did something wrong, right? We shouldn't do that to them. It's not our right to make them so overwhelmingly stressed that they're just terrified. But if a wild animal was gonna go and just die in an emotional puddle of failure every time it got scared, there would be no wild animals, right? I promise, it really is okay to do some new things with your animals that are gonna stress them out a little bit in small doses. That's okay. It really is gonna be okay. And in the long run, it's going to be a whole lot better because you're going to get beautiful interactions like with this guy here, where he has now twice crawled out onto me in this short amount of time, completely of his own volition, checked me out, climbed my back, climbed my arms, sat in my hands, let me scratch his chin, jumped back into his enclosure when he felt like it. He has no fear in him of me at all. We have overcome his nature somewhat in that way. And this is probably only a 2nd generation captive. So it's not like, a cattle or pig or a dog or a cat where we have hundreds of generations of captive breeding that we've actually genetically altered them to the point where they don't have a natural instinct to fear us. That is not the case. This was a learned behavior. They've never been introduced to the wild where things are trying to hurt them. They've never been harmed by us. This particular animal has literally never been constricted in its life. It just has learned over time, the small threads, as Kevin McKellar would call them, that I am not a danger to it. In fact, I bring it food. I give it pleasant chin scratches. I spray him with water. You know what I mean? I let him out so he can explore a little bit. That is what our end goal is, and that's why it's worth a little bit of stress. It really is. And all of my tree monitors show no stress around humans, and I feel like their quality of life is better for it. Even though they don't have dense tropical jungle as their enclosure, which is what many people want me to do for them, I'm not going to do it. I'm just not going to do it. I let them come to me. There's kind of two schools of thought. I've talked about this before. Some people think you just grab your lizard and you force handle them, and you very quickly break down those barriers because they realize you're not actually hurting them. I could do that, I guess, but I don't want to, because over months and months and months and even years of doing it this way, I feel like even though it's slower, your ceiling is higher. You can get to a more advanced relationship with the animal if you let them come to you, if you let them dictate to you what they are going to tolerate as far as handling. And I can't wait until we have a larger secure room so I can do more of this with all the other tree monitors. We have one pair in a huge enclosure. It's like 6 feet tall, 6 feet long, and 4 feet wide or something. We walk in there, you know. And then we have, anyways, I don't want to go into any more than I already have. I really intended to just, you know, pull them out, show you, put them back. That was it. But I just don't want anyone out there to ever think that I would skimp on the husbandry or enclosure or feeding or care in any way for any of my animals, right? There is a reason why the enclosures are the way they are. And this comment is not at all to throw anyone under the bus. It's actually to point out more of what I'm already telling you. Many of the best keepers of monitors, okay, the best people who are respected worldwide for what they do with their monitors, their enclosures are pretty bare bones. Far, far, far more bare than mine, right? And their monitors thrive. They are so happy. But these people have the time and the staff and the experience and the patience to pull these monitors out and let them explore the whole room regularly. Some of them on a daily basis, right? And so the enclosure is more like their little home base, but their life is spent far, far, far more interactive with a lot more people, a larger environment, and their enclosure is super bare. And it makes it so that lizard for the first couple weeks is pretty stressed because they can't just run and hide at all times. If they want to come and eat, they want to come and drink, they want to come and bask, they want to move around, they're going to have to expose themselves visually, right? But in the long run, these animals are unbelievably tame. Tamer than I ever thought you could get a reptile. Because it's one thing to not be afraid of you. It's another thing for a reptile to seek out a human, a large, predatory-looking species. And I mean that. I mean, we have these forward-facing eyes with binocular vision, grasping forelimbs. We look predatory to these animals. And yet, this tiny, tiny little lizard seeks out interaction with us. They'll come up to you and put their neck up because they want you to scratch their chin. They'll search all over you. Sometimes even I've seen them go into people's pockets looking for, bugs and pinky mice because they're hoping to get fed. They are actively seeking out and enjoying to whatever degree, a reptilian brain is able to enjoy. But within their realm of ability, they are purposefully interacting with their people. And to me, that's the pinnacle of reptile keeping. Breeding, I would say, is kind of a second pinnacle, right? It's a mountain with two peaks. One of those peaks is successfully breeding them and seeing eggs and new babies. That will never get old. But the other major benefit to me, the reason I enjoy it so much, is when you get to the point where you walk into your reptile room and your reptiles want to come to you. They want to be handled. They want to explore. They want to exercise. Whatever it is they want, fear has been eliminated, and they see you as the vehicle to gain all these other things that they want. The enrichment there is dependent on you as the keeper. That's incredible. And with this guy over here, we're not there yet. He's a wild-caught animal. We might never get there, but he's come extraordinarily far in that process. With this guy here, we're either there or we're darn close. I can just reach in and he doesn't scamper off, and I can pet him. That is superb to me. I paid a lot of money for these animals, and while some people are 100% content, in fact, their whole goal is to have display animals because they're gorgeous. If that were what I wanted, I would put way more into the enclosures. Not necessarily because it's better for the animal, but because for me, I would want the most beautiful, pristine-looking jungle because it was a display animal. The whole point is to look beautiful, right? But that's not what I want. I want them to be beautiful, but the animals are beautiful already, right? I want, out of my reptile keeping, to breed them and bring other people into the hobby through new animals and that joy of raising up a baby animal. And I want to interact with them. And I want them to enjoy it. I never, people go herping and they're just snatching up these snakes outside. I get it. I see a snake outside, not in Alaska where I live, but when I'm traveling, I want to pick it up too. But it doesn't want to be picked up, right? I enjoy it most when a reptile wants me to pick it up. Okay, if that's a simple way to look at it. Anyway, I gotta get back to my kids who are trying so hard to be quiet in the other room. They're doing a great job. And I'll let you all go. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, we're the Reptile Barn.